Hello everyone, welcome once again to another Power BI related tutorial. In this part we are going to discuss about most important 50 DAX questions, and we will try to give some examples and some we will explain as a theory. So to get started, let's say we have a orders data set where we have orders of different countries. You can see we have orders from different cities of USA and Canada. There are different customer segments for different shipping modes. Different customer names are there who have ordered. Shipping date is there, order date is there, and important things like sales, profit, quantity, discount on that particular order, and whether the order was returned, yes or no. So this type of information is there along with demographic details of customer like state, province, region, etc., and product category, subcategory, etc. So I have categorized these 50 DAX questions in several parts like date and time functions, time intelligence functions, math and aggregation functions, logical and conditional, filter, relationship, text functions. So let's get started with date and time functions. First is today. See, today is just a basic function that can be used inside a measure to find out what is today's date. So if we create a empty page here, we go to our measures table. So now what I'm going to do in modeling tab, I will create a new table here, and here I will use 50 DAX. I will call it 50 DAX. This is an empty table. Let's create it. In this 50 DAX, I'm going to create my first measure, and that is today. So today, and how you will write it? Today is equal to today. So this with curly braces, sorry, with round brackets. And when you will create this, now you have this particular card visual here where you can add today. So this is our first visual, which is simply showing us what is today's date. Okay, so this is something you can create today. Next is time, but before moving, what will be its usage? Yes, we know today is written in today's time. Let's say we have orders, and in our orders, there are orders from different dates, and we simply want to find out what are the orders from today, like what is the total sales of orders from today. So we can say order sales today. Okay, this will be dynamic. It will find out sales of that particular day. So you will use the calculate function. In calculate function you will write sum. In your sum function you will write sales. So let's say we are writing order sales. Okay, and then as a filter we can say today. Okay, obviously we have to mention that order date is today, so we will write that order date. So from order date we have orders order date equal to today, something like that. So because we have already created this, so either we can use the measure or we can use it like this. So when you will do this, it will find or it will calculate. Obviously in our case we don't have any orders of today, so this is going to show some blank value, but this is the way it is created. So if you have some orders today, you will be able to see its sales. It is similar to asking like what is the order dates on a date. So this is a date function. So now in date you can specify what particular date, and in date you can see we have year, so we can write 2023. We have month, so let's say we write 12, and day, let's say we write 2. So this is another way of doing the same thing, but here instead of order days today, we are asking order date of that particular day. So now this will sum order sales for that particular day if there is any, and yes, on that particular day we had sales of 4.8k or 4.80k dollars. This is usage of these functions. Move ahead. Now, as today returns current date, now returns current date and time. So this is simple. Date combines years, month and day into a date. We just saw usage of date. Like in this measure you can see. So when you will write date and you will pass three arguments, year, month and day, so it will create a data of date type. Suppose sometimes what happens is when we are collecting data, so while collecting the data, let's say order ID is collected, okay, then sometimes they ask month, day and year. These can be asked as separate columns, and then sales and country, etc. If such kind of case is there, so you can also create a calculated column, and in that calculated column you can write new column is date, and then you can write the same formula that your new column date equal to date, and you can write whatever table name is, so TBL name, and you can select year, then you can select comma TBL, whatever is your TBL name, so TBL name month and TBL name day. So hey, this is how you can find out. So this is another way of calculating. So this will be your calculated column. So there are many applications of this date function, and this is important. So this is how you can find out order sales today. Let's move ahead. Now there is date difference. You can see it calculates difference between two dates. So see here, in our data set, order date and ship date are given. That this order was placed on 6th of January 2021 and it was shipped to the customer on 28 January 2021. So now what we can do, we can create a calculated column where we can find out the date difference between these two dates. So for that we will go to, again we will click on that table where we want to create a calculated column. So we will create a new column, and this is order date minus ship date or something like that. So there can be a better name for this. So we can write something like order fulfillment time or fulfillment duration. And when you will write date diff, so now it is asking you what is date 1, what is date 2, and returns the number of units. So let's say date 1 is shipped date. So from this very table we will select ship date as our date 1. Then second, you can see it has become blue. So that means it is asking for the second date. So we will say orders and we will say order date. So this is our date 2. Now comes the important part, interval, and you can see Power BI is giving us suggestions. So when you will actually subtract two dates, so you can answer it in days, in hours, in minutes, month, quarter, second, week or year. So suppose these values are taxi ride bookings. In taxi ride bookings you will have more ride bookings of that particular day itself. So by book, so ride booking date and time, and drop, so pick up date and time and drop off date and time will be given. So in that case things like hour, minute will be helpful. In this case, because we want to see average fulfillment duration or something like that, so this is important. So let's say we will select day. For us day is important. So this is how you will write it, and now you will be able to see it is giving answer in minus, because whatever is the later date we will select as date 2. So now we will simply do that, and this will give us. the exact answer. So now for first order fulfillment duration is 2, 5 and so on. And now we can now calculate new measure, and that will be average fulfillment duration. So average fulfillment duration, and here we can use simple formula like average, and we can select our new column that we have calculated. So now, so you can see one particular column that has been created with the help of DAX can now be used in another DAX measure. So we have to give this as a single answer. So you can now write another answer here, that whatever is the average fulfillment duration. So 3.96. So on an average, an order is fulfilled in 3.96 days. So if you want, you can put it here somewhere. And this is something that we discussed in first part. So where I explained you how to create sales, profit, orders and returns analysis visuals like this. In second part, we discussed about using these drill through features. So I will suggest you to watch this particular tutorial. So here you can see we are now seeing details of one person. By going back, we can select Roxanne and see her details. So now you can see entire data is filtered for her. So you will try this, and you can now use these different type of KPIs in your different visuals. So that is something that you can do. Let's move ahead. Next is year. So why or when we will use year? So this is reverse of when we will use date. Sometimes, or exactly like in this case, our orders data is given, and it is given as entire date, and its data type is date. You can see in column tools. So what if we want to calculate, or we want to just print year of every sale, because we want to give it as a filter? Okay, so then you will be using this. So here we will use a new measure, and in that new measure we will just write the name as year or order year. Okay, and you will just write year, and then it will ask you year of what. So we will say year of order date. So we will select year of orders bracket order date. So in square bracket we will write that. So why is it not selecting? Let me check. And that may be because I accidentally clicked new measure. So that's why it is not coming. It is giving us that kind of warning by that. So now we will select order date and it will appear. So sometimes we make this mistake. So now when you will actually create a column, so you will be able to see for every order its date. Okay, and that's how you can see. And now you can use it in filters. So that's what we have done in some cases. So for example, if we want to use it as a filter, so what we can do, we can create a slicer here. And although we have this thing directly also, but since we are learning things, so we can now put the slicer here, and in our orders, the order year named column that we have created. So this order year, now we can add it as a filter, and now you can show it as a drop down in slider setting. So we'll show as a drop down, and you can see. So now when you will select, you will be seeing data of that order or that particular year. So this is something you can do. So this is another use of year. Now as year is there, similarly you can write month. So it extract month from a date. And remember, this month function is going to return a numerical value, not the month name. Okay, again I'm clicking measure, sorry. So we will create another column here, and in this column we will write month. So in month, or we can write order month, so that we don't get confused, and here we can write month. So these type of things will help us in finding out month wise sales, year wise sales also. And in month also we will write orders, order date. Okay, so we can create that. So now once we have created these two columns, what we can do, we can now add a visual like this here and here, because now month and order date are both, year are both kind of categorical values also at this moment. So we will select order date or order year, and we'll put order year on x-axis, and we will select sales on y-axis. So total sales on y-axis, and this will give you sales amount by year. Next we can create a copy of it, and we can put month here, so it will give you the integer value of that month. So this is the order month that we created. So now you can see, so this is how you can actually find out. And because even though we are just using as dummy, I will just enable shadow here so that it looks good, and copy shadow here, here, here and here. So you can take your time and decorate it, and this is what we can do. So let's move further, proceed further, and similarly you have day, so it returns what day it is, like 1 2 3 and so on. Then we have week number, returns week number of that year. Okay, and this is also be a number, so as the name suggests, number. So here also we are going to create a new column in the orders table, and in here we will say week, order week, and here we will write week number. And week number of what? Again you will select your orders and order date. So these, like, these are the repetitive thing that we are doing, but just showing you what is its usage. So now here you can see that is created, and whenever you will go to your table and see the columns, so order week, so this is order month, this is order year, you can select day, this is the 28 week, 44 week, and you can see here this is order, and whatever the date is, like in October. Okay, so this is week numbers usage. Now EO month returns the end of that particular month. So here we are trying to create a measure, and using EO month, it is asking for a start date and month. So it returns the date in date time format of the last day of the month before or after a specified number of months. Let's see one example of EO month. So you can use it in a measure to calculate total sales up to the end of previous month. So we want to calculate total sales but up to the end of previous month. So sales of previous month will be calculate sum of total sales. So whatever is there, for example, sum of orders and sales. Then we are applying a filter. In filter we are using all sales. This all function is used to remove any other filter that is there in the visual or on your page. So all sales, so we are filtering and selecting the sales table. This is basically we are filtering the sales table where order date is less than equal to end of month today minus 1. So end of month today will calculate end of month of whatever is today minus 1. Okay, so this type of option will calculate sales of previous month. Now what if we do this, what is it going to return? So let's say EOM, let's try to find out what is it returning. Okay, if we write it like this, because in months we have actually written minus 1. So this is the second argument, right? So it takes two arguments. So as a date, start date we have given today, and we have set -1, that is 1 month before today. Remember, today is 2/7, right? So this is what we calculated earlier. Today is 2/7/2025. Now let's say what is that returning, and it will return, where is that? So EOM, and EOM is going to return, you can see 36/2025. Okay, so that means this month is July. So 1 month ago was June, and what is the end of month of June? 2025. Okay, so this is what it is returning, and based on that we can calculate sales order date is less than equal to this. So every value less than the end of month value will be calculated. So calculate total sales up to the end of previous month. So this is the use of EO month. And finally, for this segment is date add. Again, there are many date and time functions. These are some important ones. And date add shifts date by interval, like 1 year, 2 year, or something. So we can use date add. So let's say we want to print date add. So let's create another measure here. So 50, that's new measure. So we are going to add date. So date add today. So in date add, you have to select date. Now this can be order date, or this can be anything. So we are writing today. So we are going to use the today function. So you can see now we have dates, and it is asking number of intervals. But before that, so you can see it is not accepting this, right? And when we are writing today, it is giving some kind of warning, because this date add function requires a continuous set of dates as a column. That's why we create this date table. So you can see this is a date table. In this date table, we have created from start date 1/1/21 to end date 31/12/25. We are building reports from 21 to 25. So we have selected this, and this particular date table. So another important function is calendar. What will this calendar function do? This calendar function will return a table. So right now we studied how to create some calculated measures, some calculated columns. Now we are creating some tables. So this particular thing will return a table with a single column, and that column will have all the dates. So in this date table, if you will see, we have this, although these are all calculated values. So this is the date column. Okay, this is what it is going to return. Now once we have these dates, so then comes date add. Okay, so with the help of date add, you can actually add some intervals here. So now in this case, where we don't have any missing values, we have all the continuous values, right? So remember that. So when we will add date add here, so let's say date add test. So we are creating a column, and then we will write date add, and now it will accept. So we will select dates. So in the dates table, we have the, or in the date table, we have the dates column. So now it is going to accept this. Now it is asking what do you want to shift. So we will say 2, and then what, we will say year. So we want to add 2 year in every date that is given. So now you can see it is going to return this value. If I say I want to add 2 months, okay, so now it is going to give another date. Although because here it is being represented as a date time, so this is giving the answer. I will say I want return as a text. So now it is returning. So in whatever date that is, it is adding 2 months. So it was 1/1 21. Now it is returning 1 3 21. So it is adding 2 months. When I will add to year, it will add this. Now we will add -2. So this will subtract 2 years, and you can see it is not giving us the answer. So you can see it is not returning anything because there is a missing context here. But when we are adding something like 2 year, so it has that date in its range. What if I say add 5? So again blank, because it cannot find any date after 5 years. So it best works when it is given in a particular context. So for example, let's say we want to calculate sales, and we'll say see, so we are calculating order and sales, and this order sales that we are calculating is basically happening, we are subtracting 2 year from a date. So what if I say today? So again it will not accept. So here we will have to give that particular thing. So we will have to give date table, and whatever is the maximum date there, so it will select that. Okay, so -2 year. So it is going to calculate something. So calculate total sales. So in your date table, date -2 year, and when we will find that, so it is going to sales 2 years, and this is showing 1.58 million. Now for a function like this, it is important to understand that it is not selecting a maximum value or something, but it will work according to the context. For example, date add table -2, it is showing some data, but this is actually going to work when we will select a year. So you can see in 2023 sales value is 0.61 million. If I select 2025, it is showing 0.61 million. In 24, 0.47. So you can see 0.47. So why is it showing 0.61 million in 2025? Because now once we are saying that, now according to date table our current date is 2025, so it is now showing -2 years back, whatever sales was in 2023. So it is actually showing us that in 2023 it is showing sales of 2021. So technically 2 years before 2022 are not there, that's why it is blank, and obviously 2 years before 21 are also not there, so it is also blank. This is something that is giving you sales of 2 years back, and this type of functions are very important, that they should be used with a context, like you should be using them with some kind of filter like a year or some particular value that you have given. So this was the first example for us, where we did some quick revision of most important 50 DAX questions related to date and time. In next part, we will do another quick revision of time intelligence function. So that is again very important. So we will continue this series, and many students have asked us to do this thing. So it will help you in your revisions. So try this. I will suggest you to try this example also, and after this example, if you have any questions, please let us know.